In this tutorial, we start our tutorial series using geometry nodes to create this animation. Please look at the link in the description down below for the playlist for geometry nodes that I'll be starting as of this video moving forward. And we're really going to dive deeper into geometry nodes because I believe it's the future of Blender. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. I've just downloaded Blender 3.0, and what I can say is, from what I've learned, is that geometry nodes is there to eventually replace the particle system. Alright, let's create a quick geometry node tutorial. First thing I'm going to do is select this default cube. In the spirit of keeping it, let's click on our modifier properties, add modifier, and select subdivision surface modifier. Chuck this on 4 and 4. I'm going to press S4 to scale it up. Right click, shade smooth, Alt, Control A, and I am going to apply that scale. I'm going to press N. You can see the scale is 111, which is perfect, but more importantly, let me turn on my screen recording so you can see what I'm pressing. Alright, so this is going to be the base of what we're going to use in this tutorial. I'm going to press H to hide. Next thing you want to do is go to Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, type in Tree, and make sure you enable this. Right, let's get started. Numpad 1, zoom in, Control Shift A, curve, sapling tree. There we go. And the first thing we want to do is go to leaves and click show leaves. And I'm going to have to minimize that quickly. Sorry, I have to remove that thing there. Right, now we can decide how many leaves we want. In fact, this is perfect for this example. The only thing I want to do is just deselect everything. I'm happy with this result. And we're going to select this and hold in Shift, select this. S, scale this down. Something like this. G, X, move it completely out the scene so it's not in the way. Alt H to bring back the ball. Control Z, G, X, put this further out here. Alt H to bring back the ball. There we go. So we got this as our reference image. G, X, put it all the way out of the scene. There we go. Right, so now we can go to our geometry nodes tab because we have everything prepared for this. We're going to go to our geometry node editor, and this works the exact same way our shader editor works. So we've got a starting point, and then we have all the nodes we want to implement, and we've got a final result. And the difference between, well, the main thing that this focuses on is manipulating the geometry of this mesh in particular in a non-destructive fashion, and it goes in your modifier properties, and the order of your modifiers still matters, so keep that in mind, because if we did this, it means something completely else to us doing this. All right, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is press Shift A, and we're going to use focus on point today predominantly, and we're going to click point distribute. Going to connect that over here, and we can increase the intensity, and we can see all of this. Now keep in mind this is halo, so if we go to our render view mode, none of this will be visible. I think I clicked on render mute. If you see, it's empty, it's blank. Go back to solid view, we can see it here. Next thing we want to do is press Shift A, go to geometry and click join geometry and connect this over here. Now this is a very interesting piece where you can combine as many stuff as you like into this, but in this case we just want to add the original mesh so that it looks like this, and I'm quite happy with that. Perhaps we want to make the density 1 just for starting off, and you can choose a random distribution over here. I'm going to press 3. And the next thing we want to do is create an instance. Let me just bring this down so it's all visible. Press Shift A and click Point Instance. Connect that in over here, and you can choose a specific instance. Now you can just, if you want, you can just go over here, click on the eyedropper and click here, and then you'll see this crazy result. And the one problem with this is that it's only using the leaves in this example, but damn, doesn't that look cool. I'm actually very happy with that result. One thing we could do, just to make this a little bit better, you can select all of this, press S to scale it down, press Control A, apply the scale. And now it should match. And this is something you would have struggled with the particle system, getting the scale to match the desired reference object. less tinkering. And perhaps we want to press S to get it out a bit, make it a bit bigger. Control A, apply scale, and it just grows like that. Now let's look at this, and we can see that it's only bushes, not the whole tree. So let's try and fix that first of all. So instead of using this specific thing, we can go right click, new collection, and we're going to chuck this tree into this collection, as well as these leaves. And once that's done, we're going to remove that, click on collection, and select collection 2. And make sure the whole collection is not selected. So now when we look at this, we might see one new problem. We've got the trees not lining up with these things. So what could we do to fix that? Numpad 1. Let's go over here. So one quick fix, which we'll do in this tutorial, is to shift, select both objects, and press Control J. And if that doesn't work, let's go in here and see why. It's because the tree currently is a curve. So we can just click over your object, convert to mesh. Now that both objects are meshes, we can just select them all, press Control J, and now it's one object. And now all the trees on this should look perfect, just like that. And we've pretty much creating a planetary world with just these trees. Now, another thing worth paying attention to is if you click on your object and you no longer see these objects here, the only way to see it again is to select this and wait for it to load and it appears. So you have to select it, because if you don't select it, it could disappear. If you want it to always be here, you could pin it. So if you click off this, it still stays there because it's pinned. All right, now that we've got that done, let's move on to the next part. Let's increase the density to maybe 5. It's 4. And let's add an attribute. Now, when we're messing with attributes, we want to add it before it affects the object. So over here, the halos or the attributes, everything gets affected here, and we want to do it before the point instance when it becomes an actual object. So we're going to press Shift A, point. Instead of point, we're going to click attribute, and we're going to click attribute randomize. Now I hope they modify this and fix it in the future. We're going to also change this to vector, and we're going to change the attribute. Here we go, we've got a few to choose from, but it's not showing everything. So let's choose scale, and let's have a minimum scale of 0.3, 0.3, 0.3, so that there's some variance. And let's go further. Let's select all of this, just move this to the side, select this, press Shift D, and click this and put this here, and change this to rotation. Now it's looking all funky because it's not, the rotation isn't right. So let's just first put this on 0, 0, 0. Now the only rotation we want to affect is the Z-axis. So we're just going to put this on 0 and this on 0. The problem with this, it's affecting the world axis. So let's quickly see if we can. So currently, if you look closely, all our trees are pointing upward, which is great if you just want to make a scene from about here. Then it would look quite interesting and fun. They're all pointing perfectly upward, but that's not what we're trying to do. So in this case, I'm going to select this and press Control X. And it doesn't break the scene, the connection remains intact. Right, let's get into the material viewport and just render this out. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you found this video interesting, useful, entertaining. I don't care, I would appreciate any form of liking and subscribing. I really do appreciate that. Let's also change to our viewport, and let me turn on my screen recording so you can see it again now that we don't really need to mess with that. And perhaps we should make this. Right, so let's change this to our shader editor. And we've got this ball selected. And now that we're in our shader editor, we could play with this. We could say, you know what, I like this, but we're going to press Shift A, and we're going to click Shader, and we're going to add a mix shader. Connect this into here. Oh my goodness, is my computer struggling? There we go. And we're going to press Shift A, shader, and we are going to add in this case I want to add an emission shader. Chuck this in over here, connect this over here, click on this, choose green, choose dark green, give it an emission of 5, choose darker green, and let's press Shift A and replace, let's click transparent shader, connect this, click on the principal BSDF, X to delete, and connect the transparent shader to the bottom here, and then press Shift A, search, type in layer, and use layer weight. No! Control X, try that again. I need to upgrade. Shift A, layer weight, don't die on me, and connect the facing to the factor. Give this a strength of 0.9. And once you've got that, you should also change blend mode from a peak to alpha blend. And then you should have a hologram effect that looks like that, which is pretty cool. And we could take it further, but we'll leave it like that for now. Let's quickly just do the trees. Let's select the trees quickly. Press new. And these trees, let's make them just, green. And let's call this trees, enter, select the trees, shader editor, let's remove this pin quickly, change the trees, there we go. And we're going to have some fun with this as well. Let's delete the principled BSDF actually. Let's press Shift A, and we're going to use the mix shader again. Into the surface, Shift A. We're going to go crazy and use an emission shader again. Shift A. We are going to use a transparent shader again. Shift A, we're going to go to input, and we're going to select object info, and we're going to connect this over here. We're going to press Shift A, we're going to go to color ramp in converters, connect this over here, and we're going to use the full color spectrum. So we'll change this to HSV. We'll click on this black and we'll make this one S1. Click on the white color, do the same. And change far Here we go. Now we're using the full color spectrum, but we'll just move this to color. And give this a strength of 30. And what we could do, just to be safe, perhaps we think that's a bit too bright, we could use a power node, I guess. Shift A, search, type in power. Oh, sorry, it's technically called a math node. And click on that and connect this here. Then in the drop down, we're going to click power. Okay, power doesn't work. Perhaps we want to use divide. Oh, perhaps it's in the wrong place. Let's press Ctrl X. Bring this emission over here. Shift A. Math. Connect that over there. And that's no good. We want to click divide 1. Okay, that doesn't work. So I'm just going to press Ctrl X and leave it. And make this the example. Let's quickly go to our render view, bloom, and the last thing we want to do with this is select our original cube and press numpad 7, press Shift A, select an empty. Where is the empty? Here it is, and circle RX90 S10, shift select the cube, Control P to parent it, Control Z to undo. What we want is, my word, my computer's so slow. Right, you want to select this, your cube, then shift select the object. So the object is the light orange, and then press Control P to parent it. Click object. And we could name this world rig. And then we can change this to our timeline. On keyframe 1, we press I. And we click rotation. And let's make this end at frame 100. And go to the last frame and press I. Well, before you do that, press N. Select the camera rig, the world rig. Press N. View or the item. And we want to rotate this on the Z axis. Let's make it 1080. And press I, rotation. And now we just set up our camera, which we can leave it where it is and just reduce the focal length to about there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, we could add an environmental texture background, but I'm going to leave this as is. In fact, I'm going to make the background black and view this in render view. And that's it. So now when we press spacebar to play this, that does look great, but I just want the world, the original world, to be, let's go back to the shader editor. Now you're just kind of tinkering with this to get the desired effect you want. Let's make the original world strength 20, 50. And perhaps let's make the original world color white. I think this will look really cool with the holographic white wall. but we need to reduce the strength to about 20. No, less, 10. No, 5. Let's click off it to take an easier look. Yeah, that's gonna just have to do. And yeah, now all we need to do is render this out. Thanks for following along. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.